Phoenix1 have a very good, team atmosphere, and they are all kind of on a similar page. Ryu was taking that break, and he came back now, so hopefully the entire team is kind of reinvigorated and ready to work towards the future.
Let's see what they can do here in the second round. Orange team versus orange team. Who's gonna be the better orange, Kobe?
That is true.
Kalista and Elise banned away by Echo Fox. Phoenix1 taking Zac off the table. They got to play it last game. They're not willing to allow Echo Fox to do that this game. Caitlyn also banned away.
All right, these are the more standard, allocation of bans, I guess. We do have Zac back in his rightful place.
Right on the ban list.
The ban list here. #1 ban on red side. Smack dab. Kalista and Caitlyn both off as well. There's the LeBlanc. No real surprises. Is it going to be another support here? Because the support bannings has been interesting to me. Thresh is super highly prioritized by a lot of them, but I feel like there's actually so many more options right now, and it's the delta between Thresh and even the melee playmaking creating supports actually is not that large anymore. But yeah, there you go. See, it's not that large. Maokai, he is quite large, always has been.
Yeah.
He was born that way. Big bones.
Giant tree.
Gragas as well. Big bones.
Well, Gragas, another one of those tanky guys. Good guy to grab first. You can flex him a little bit if you want to even.
We love the early flexing.
That is one of the best ways to go about doing your champion select. Keep your opponents guessing. Always make them think twice about what they're going to pick or ban because they don't know what to do.
I feel like we should write a song about flexing and guessing and champion select and the 1, 2, 3 strategies here. Anyways, Thresh is traded over, kind of as expected. We're talking about the playmaking abilities. Both teams kind of grab bag at the beginning of Champion Select is trying to grab, your front line, trying to grab your playmaking, because there are these, standout. Rek'Sai, though, hover over here for MikeYeung.
Okay.
And we'll see, is he going to go to that adaptation of the Cinder Hulk Rek'Sai that, we have seen people doing? They've really been getting away from, the early Warrior and the Black Cleaver Rek'Sai, but it's still a possibility if he does actually want to get back out there to the early playmaking. I'm actually a pretty big fan still of, Cinder Hulk plus Black Cleaver as the combination. Kind of a little bit of a middle ground.
Yeah.
But Warrior into Black Cleaver is a little bit more exciting.
I mean, Warrior's a bit more exciting, but the problem is it's so snowball dependent, right? If you're not completely taking over the game, 10 kills at 20 minutes.
And I feel like that does also depend on the champion select and the matchups that you're going to see. Rek'Sai, one of her biggest strengths early on is being able to gank behind side lanes. You can go over walls, you can go from behind turrets with only taking 1 or even no turret shots. If the MA team is pushed up, you can gank the duo lane from behind. If you're blue side, you can gank top lane from behind. If you're red side, even go through the lane here because you have a Thresh. There are just so many options for her to actually go from behind. Whereas Gragas, while he is flexible, doesn't have quite that pathing to choose from. Meanwhile, though, Sivir is pulled in once again. This time on the side of Phoenix1, and Arrow will be at the helm of the Sivir ship this time.
Yep. We're trading boats for 80 carries. Jhin and Sivir once again, but they're going to be on opposite teams. Camille locked in the top lane for Echo Fox, being Gragas is going into the jungle, likely building a Cinder Hulk of his own. We've seen the opting away from Runic Echoes on the Gragas players lately because they want to get tankier faster. I can't blame them. You get in the middle of the fight, you want to be starting things off, you probably don't want to die in the process.
Get tankier faster, and the scaling is just insane. One of the biggest parts about Cinder Hulk's buff was increasing your extra bonus health by 20% here. Later into the game, that really does add up.
And the break-even point on that, for people who are curious, is 1,500 HP. As long as you're building more than 1,500 bonus HP, it is just strictly better than the old one. If you have less, it takes a little while to catch up. But generally these days, building tanky involves building a lot of health. So Renekton and Shen banned away on the side of Echo Fox. Phoenix1 taking away Rumble and Zyra as Arrow trolls around a little bit, waiting on his real pick to come through. Thinking about that Cho'Gath.
True damage could go right through Camille's shield. And that's what it's going to be. Zig on the Cho'Gath.
But it is top lane Cho'Gath. We've seen top lane Cho'Gath, we've seen jungle Cho'Gath.
That's what I'm saying. Go right through that Camille.
Yep.
Cho'Gath will have a feast.
Just munch that Camille all the way out of the top lane. And honestly, Cho'Gath is one of those champions where if 6 months ago you told me Cho'Gath's going to be meta, he's going to have one of the highest win rates in the game, I would say, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. But then Vorpal Spikes got changed from a constant active to a 3-hit thing. He gets slows on it all the time, and it's very, very scary. Echo Fox finalizing their team fight power with the Corki and the Taric.
Yeah, that's interesting because it is more of a, 1-4 setup here with Echo Fox into possibilities of collapsing. Taric, as you said, super good in team fights, mainly due to the ultimate, but also due to the stuns. You can actually set up stuns really nicely with a Camille. Camille is one of those champions that is so mobile. Any sort of assist support champion that you have is really good. So Camille definitely enables the engagements. We'll have to see if they can actually pull it off because it does take a lot of coordination with your team. And as far as, working together here, Brandini and Gate, we'll see how well they've been able to pull that off. But again, Camille likes to set it up by split pushing beforehand so you can get some, good teleport in or some sort of good flank in, or even just take your toll split pushing in the 1v1.
And Ryu on the Kassadin in this game, it's been a topic of conversation before. After Corki got reworked a little bit, and it's not even a full rework, literally just a passive number ratio change to make it so he's almost all magic damage. Kassadin does pretty darn well into him. You just build a Dorian shield, you're immune to a lot of the damage he does to you, it gives you time to scale, and we know how scary this champion is if given time to scale, especially against targets like a Corki and a Jhin who are super vulnerable.
Level 16 Kassadin is the dreamland. The ultimate cooldown gets to be so short. That's why people always talk about his scaling. Damage gets ridiculous. You build Zonias, you can team fight even. He's a strong split pusher. It's just, very difficult to deal with. The one weakness we always talk about is the wave clear, but he's on a team with Sivir, his best buddy. Just rotate the Sivir into mid lane. That's how you deal with those waves. Clear him out nicely.
Phoenix1 saying, all right, you guys had the scaling last game. You got the crits and the bounces and the poke and the damage. Well, this game, if it goes all the way, goes the distance, we're going to have it in the bag. Especially, you look at their top laner with Cho'Gath. Once this guy stacks a bunch of health items and a Gargoyle Stone Plate, you can hit people for 1,500 damage with your ulti easily.
Everyone always likes to talk about the Flash Stone Plate chomp there. And yes, it is annoying, and yes, the counterplay is fairly low, and yes, Smash is on Jhin, so he doesn't have, an extra dodge, and have to rely on either Flash or, Taric immunity, which takes a long time to come down, or, Gragas trying to interrupt him. See about any sort of face checking, though. We have Xpecial in the one-man trap.
Just waiting to see here.
Yeah,
one-man
traps don't usually work. Good sidestep.
Nice sidestep there. That was fancy. I like that. Zig knows that he's alone because the rest of Echo Fox had showed face down there in the bottom part of the map. So he'll walk up, doesn't decide that he wants to place down any information boards, early information boards, I should say, on the blue buff. So instead just heads back up towards his own top side, making sure Echo Fox isn't going to try anything tricky, spinning around towards that top end of the map. As Rek'Sai beginning around the chicken pit, as Rek'Sai's like to do. And it looks like we'll probably see Akaadian starting around there on his own.
Yeah, Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai for MikeYeung as well. Also going to start the Raptors, so should have, pretty mirrored beginnings here. And Rek'Sai, let's talk a little bit about the layers of the champion select, because we see it so often that it's kind of second nature for us. But people aren't always used to what champions cover what weaknesses of what other champions.
Right.
And never mind, we're going to have to go over that theory later. Phoenix1 going to go put a stop to this super leash, at least make them pay for it with a little bit of health.
Yep, they'll tax their HP a little bit, put a little sting on the end of that one, at least try to get some lane advantage for the advantage the enemy jungler is given by that huge leash that Akaadian has now been afforded. Xpecial zoning mash and gate away, recognizing that health lead, gives Arrow time to farm.
Yeah, Xpecial getting control of the brush. Not able to sidestep that one, though. Does get cornered, and a little bit of chunk of health given back. They still have control of the wave, though, and denying a few CS, while Mash is sitting at 50% near the turret.
So as you were talking about before the leash, we were going to bring up the champions covering each other's weaknesses in the draft.
Right, and so it kind of starts out where we have the early focus on Sivir. It's not really surprising. You don't give away too much. You're going for it is definitely late game oriented, as we've seen on display already, and also does help out with the tanks. But as we said, with a later pick, Kassadin is something you always want to pick a bit later. Never mind, we've got another invade here onto MikeYeung. This time around, he's covered his own Krugs and not gone for an early topside pressure. So he probably should have communicated to Zig. I'm not going to be up here, that's why Zig not even moving up to the wave right now versus Camille. You don't want to take those trades early with Cho'Gath, even though Cho'Gath can heal up off the minion waves very nicely. Instead, mid lane will be the focus here.
3-man gank potential from P1. Wanting to go for Froggen, who's got his flash up. Ooh, nice. Instant flash predicting the flash from Xpecial, but he can't sidestep the hook. And I don't know if Froggen's going to have any way out of here. Not today, MikeYeung, first blood.
Even though Froggen can flash early, doesn't matter because Phoenix1 brought 3 members to that mid lane party. Ryu actually didn't even get to participate. Meanwhile, Arrow's going to have to fend for himself in the bottom side. Good spell shield there, but first blood onto the Corki is huge. MikeYeung able to get that one on the Rek'Sai and kind of get that early game off to a very nice start here. On one of those champions we talked about can abuse that early on. We'll take another look, but Xpecial with the roam from bottom lane. They pushed up, he goes for flash. Now they know there's no other way for Froggen, to dodge this, and Xpecial says, hey, don't back off this gank. MikeYeung, where you going? I'm not done here. Watch this. I will predict his dodge. He lands the hook, by the way. And that could have gone 2 ways. If Froggen had not tried to dodge that and had just curved up the banana brush, would have gotten out, but Xpecial predicts a dodge. In the end, that makes you look a little bit silly, but it kind of is a 50-50 in pro games because both players are very well aware. There's only 2 possibilities here.
Right.
Either you're dodging back or you're not. And got caught on that one. So, props to Xpecial for the roam as well as the hook. Starting off another play here in the... No flash for Xpecial though. These plays are really so much more scary when the Thresh has flash and he can lantern flash in with the play.
Oh hook, my goodness, maximum range on the hook as he brings in MikeYeung for even more damage. Gate and Mash will tank this as long as they can. Arrow walks right into the Deadly Flourish with his spell shield to grab some mana too.
And look at that, another big Xpecial play. 2 summoners off of the AD carry. Mash now no heal or flash, and MikeYeung is still hovering around bottom side, looking to keep the pressure on.
And we gave Xpecial credit last game for hitting the pulls time after time after time after time. And this game he's saying, well, I can do it with Blitzcrank, I can do it with Thresh too. He's really dialing these skill shots in today. Which, honestly, if you're going to play these playmaker supports, you've got to be able to hit those playmaking abilities. Xpecial seems right at home on these picks.
Yeah, they're able to move into the jungle as well, take control of a couple of those plants. All right, we'll return, part 3 back to our champion select discussion.
All right, third time's the charm.
Yeah, I mean, there is another support roam here, so that might interrupt again. No. But we want to talk a little bit more about the other layers of the draft phase there and how Rek'Sai plus Kassadin is also a potent combo. Not only is it the kind of late game weakness of, the Sivir is able to cover a lot of the minion wave discrepancies, but Rek'Sai plus a level 6 Kassadin is so threatening, for a mid laner. And since they already pressured mid lane and got summoners off of Froggen, I would think that MikeYeung would want to continue that pressure in that area. Top side, though, he's looking to make it happen. Akaadian's there, might be a little bit late.
Oh, man, it's a 2 versus 2. Brandini completely on the run. 200 HP and no mana left, but Zig doesn't have any mana to pursue this one either, so both sides back off.
They are able to defend him there, so no kill goes over. Teleport being used by Ryu back to the mid lane, so he doesn't give up any more experience and has a little bit of an edge here as Froggen has run out of his charges of the refillable potion. So Ryu can try and bully or try and let these minions deny.
Remember, the Froggen also doesn't have a TP of his own to get back to lane. Always having the package available every 5 minutes or so on Corki means you usually opt for that combat summoner spell, especially against the Kassadin. Exhaust has so much value.
Huge value. And right now, mid lane, I think, is the biggest issue. We talked about a couple of the stages of the setup. Rek'Sai plus the Kassadin, the combination of these guys bullying on. They had a roam from Xpecial, and look at the CS. This is a Kassadin bullying lane, big CS lead, summoner spell lead. They also have, huge jungler priority here. MikeYeung looking to move in for a steal. Since bottom lane was just chased out, they're going to be able to get this red, unless Smash finds a random steal.
Nope, secured by MikeYeung. He's got the bite there. Now, one thing I remember we talked a lot about during the initial Rek'Sai rework was a lot of Rek'Sai players were maxing the tunnel first instead of the Q because it was giving them more damage, it gave them more burst, you could get back into the tunnels faster. But now that Cinderhulk is again more prolific compared to Warrior, they've opted away from that adaptation back to the original strategy of maxing the Q first because it does work better without the damage.
Yeah, one of the big things about the tunnel maxing your E, by the way, which is also true damage for once you charge up your passive. Never mind, you're going to have to take the Lantern. Does very easily. One of the things is that when you are building more offensively, you want that mobility to get in and out super quickly because you're more squishy. If you're going Cinderhulk, you're more tanky. It's not as big of an issue to take another tunnel really quickly to get back out because you are more tanky. I still really like it, so I split the difference maybe. Put like 3, maybe 4 sometimes into the Q before going E. Because then by the time you get to the team fights where you want that mobility, you have, you do have it. There's that first turret though. Phoenix1 take their toll on the bottom side, and you kind of want to check in on the CS here, but it's absolutely devastating for Echo Fox at the point. We talked a little bit about mid lane and how crazy it is for Kassadin with kill pressure and CS lead on Corki, but bottom lane, Arrow and Xpecial are just destroying Mash and Gate at this stage.
I mean, that's not even close. 82 to 47. When your team's got a 2K gold lead and you're 13 or 1400 of it, you're doing a lot of work in your lane or whatever you're doing at that point in time. 2.3 thousand lead right now. Actually, the lead for Phoenix1 over Echo Fox is Froggen and Ryu into that 1v1 as both supports now show up to make sure that their side doesn't lose. Gate will top Froggen off a little bit with the heal.
Xpecial as well, giving some healing with his Targon stack. So.
Oh yeah, it still counts. Ryu, nope, just trying to poke a little bit more. Froggen severely close to running out of mana as now the fight going to be breaking out, but the counterattack from Akaadian. The flash away to keep Phoenix1 safe.
Nice there from Akaadian. Almost is able to get his combo off in time, but it was a little bit slow there on the ult, so Ryu is able to flash to the other side. Maybe not. They're able to focus him down if they get that ultimate off a little bit earlier. Regardless, though, they put a stop to the engagement there, and that is a flash down on Xpecial, who's been a huge playmaker so far for Phoenix1.
And like you said just 5 minutes ago, the Thresh with flash and the Thresh without flash, very different levels of threat in terms of thinking, what can this guy do to me right now? How much do I have to respect his positioning? Phoenix1, even though that engage didn't work, they see the opportunity to grab the Cloud Drake and they seize it, making sure that they're taking the first neutral objective of the game, as well as grabbing that first turret blood. Everything going their way in Game 2.
Yeah, MikeYeung on the Rek'Sai has been extremely active. Trying to get effectiveness on all 3 lanes, but mainly that mid and bot, and it is working wonders for them. Definitely power there for both of them. Kassadin into the Rod of Ages as well, so starting to stack up.
Level 9. 7 more levels to go until he actually turns on and can start playing League of Legends.
I mean, he actually gets to start playing early. He got like early access or something to this game.
He pre-ordered.
Yeah, because of, he got a double gank from a Thresh and a Rek'Sai. 2 of the most feared, early game roamers that really changed the face of this matchup.
Still no kills on him yet. Has that assist from the first kill that they got against Froggen. But honestly, he doesn't need a lot of big kill, assist, crazy scores just yet. He'll get those as a byproduct of just being able to farm, being able to safely scale. Like you said, with the Rod of Ages being up and running, the sooner you buy that, the sooner you're going to hit 10 stacks and have that ridiculous gold efficiency that the item gets once it hits that high. It's something crazy. Like, I actually looked it up the other day. It's something completely bananas, like 150, 160% gold efficient once it's fully stacked. So that'll pay off huge dividends as Echo Fox pushes up 3 men strong here in the bottom lane, looking to claim the tier 1, but Phoenix1 will do the same on the top part of the map.
Yes, they will. Both side laners back way off as well. Brandini's not even there, and then Zig is giving a wide berth there to the bottom lane, so he does not get dove either. He's going to move a little bit back in here. He's got to be a bit careful, though. Akaadian fishing around through the jungle. Anytime you trade 2 turrets like this, not only are you going to trade the objectives on those sides of the map, but you have to worry about the vision that the other team left around. I believe they snuck over the corner there, so they were not seen. Arrow never walked into vision range, so for another 10 seconds, this will remain a mystery, but as soon as the Raquel goes down, she'll let out her battle cry.
And that means Phoenix1 gets yet another objective for themselves, taking an advantageous trade yet again. And one thing I want to bring up now, because we talked about it momentarily in the last game, but we didn't really get to bring it up much. Mash with the flash away, keeping himself alive there. Righteous Glory, first item on Zig's Cho'Gath. We've been seeing so many of these immobile tanks buy this lately because it gives you a whole nother avenue to start these fights off on your turn. Such an effective item.
Yep, let's see though. It doesn't work too good getting out of Camille or Gragas.
Nope. Gragas barrels knocking you backwards makes it pretty hard to deal with. Zig trying to escape, but the stuns into the slows into the damage means adios. Cho'Gath down.
Cho'Gath down. What can Phoenix1 do about it? Looks like nothing. Everybody else was back out. And it's just as we said. He has to be careful when he's walking up there. We cautioned against it. You know, trading those two sides. We cautioned against the vision that's in their quadrant. We cautioned against Akaadian, who's in the blue quadrant. And, you know, with the mobility there of Gragas-Camille combo, it's easy to outplay Cho'Gath. One of the reasons we never saw him, you know, before was because all the skill shots were easily avoidable. Doesn't have real big escapes for himself, but Griff-tailed, she's out onto the field and looking to take down mid.
Charge, and he hits the turret, and okay, it's gone. Eyeball still shining, Shelly gets abandoned. That's the life of a Rift Herald. You get to take down one turret, you have your brief moment of glory, and then everybody abandons you to just sort of do that.
She's still doing her job, though. She's one last charge for you.
Shelly died with honor. R.I.P.
I like how she has like a one-track mind.
Yeah, she's committed.
Killing turrets. Why does she hate turrets so much?
I mean, maybe there are no turrets in the void. There's probably not.
Yeah, she's like, get this garbage out of here.
Just trying to get rid of this unnatural trap in her way.
Are they actually going for this? They're just being annoying.
Finds him. Yep. They just want to be as obnoxious as possible. Stop him during the last half second of the recall.
We're going to get a replay here. 360, no scope. Ooh. Yeah, look at that. Look at that intense mobility of Camille. I mean, that's why she's so frustrating when she gets really far ahead. But Brandini uses the jump into the ultimate there, able to dodge out the rupture as well. I mean, they just made it look so easy. Here's a little bit of a payback, though. Phoenix1 going in.
Phoenix1 trying to start this fight off. Cosmic Radiance keeping Akaadian live for an extra second, but it's not going to last too much longer. Zig takes a big old bite out of the fat man and grabs himself the second kill for Phoenix1.
Yeah, he actually got his vengeance there with the last hit, finds his kill, and Phoenix1 get one back. Regardless, Camille is still split pushing. Said in Champion Select, that's going to be their game plan. Start things off by gaining side lane pressure, whether you want to transition into teleports or flanks, or you're trying to gain the outer turrets. That is step number one. Level 11 Camille with her Sheen is going to be able to do a significant amount of damage to the turret before she has to back off and Zig does arrive. Thing's pretty low.
And remember, it's super important that Zig kills as many champions as possible with the ulti, because every single one gives him more feast stacks. You can only get 6 stacks out of non-epic monsters and minions, which he's already got. So if he wants to turn into a bigger Cho'Gath, he's got to keep eating dragons and barons and champions.
That was number 7. Able to get over that break point. And it's a very, very interesting point as well. See how big he will be able to grow in this one.
Hitting level 11 now, of course, means that Cho'Gath's size is going to be expanded just a little bit, but it's not until level 16 that you're truly going to see him hit those monstrous levels of Cho'Gath that take up the entire lane and just seem ridiculously too big. He'll push out the bottom lane for now. Stay all right. You can see the Bramble Vest built on him, which by itself is pretty effective at stopping auto attackers from wanting to duel you because of the grievous wounds, but as Thornmail, it's even better.
So interesting little tidbit as well. Not only does it look cool when you get big as Cho'Gath, but previously at least to the rework, and I'm pretty sure it's still this way, Feral Scream is a spell that is measured from the end of your champion model, so the bigger you get a tiny bit more range on it as well.
Plus, you get 7 extra attack range per level. But now, Zig's about to be a very tiny monster.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Squished. Granted, he doesn't lose stacks when he dies anymore, but you're still pretty tiny if you're dead.
I guess. You're more black and white, I guess. But it always was much more funny when you died previous to the rework and you turn into like little keychain Cho'Gath.
Little super tiny Cho'Gath that comes back and just scurries around the map again.
They do get the Drake here though. Echo Fox now have to try and defend mid lane. They're going to do just that after acquiring Cloud Drake.
1-for-1 Drakes again, very similar to game number 1. Kills tied up as well. Phoenix1's big advantage at this point, Kobe, is in the turrets, that better macro play for the first part of this game. But Echo Fox grabs the tier 2 in the bottom lane.
Sticking to that split push, Camille on her Trinity Force now starts to feel pretty good.
And you've got to be scared of that if you're the Cho'Gath, because again, you can farm, everything's cool, but if she brings somebody else towards that fight and you can't get away, it goes back to the joke. Because I remember when Stoneplate got introduced to this game, and people originally found the interaction with it and his ulti, and they're like, oh my god, you can burst people for 1500 damage with Cho'Gath. The instant counter argument was, yeah, but then you're playing Cho'Gath.
Camille, yeah, and that problem isn't a problem anymore.
Right,
because as we said,
good.
One of his biggest problems was people dodging his skills. Now, if you just activate your Vaporeal Spikes and you get that slow, you auto-attack him, then you can set up your combination of silence and knockup, and then get your ultimate off. By the way, just for reference, Camille right now, 1,887 health.
Okay.
So we'll check in if he does actually, build into the Stoneplate for the very big chomp. But currently, it is going to be just over 600 true damage on his beast.
It's like 1/3 of
He's got a ways to go to be able to do the 50% shot or whatever.
He can execute her from 33% right now, but he's still going to need a lot of help to get her that low to begin with, especially considering her magic damage shield will block a lot of the burst from the Rupture, the Feral Screamer, even the Vorpal Spikes. So once Brandini gets some lifesteal on that Camille as well, it just becomes that much scarier to try to get him within that threshold. So Zig will have his work cut out for him until he becomes that monster Gath that he may be able to become later in the game. Nice foul also completed on MikeYeung. It's that supportive style of Rek'Sai, that Cinder Hulk pure tanky one that we're seeing these days, enabling his carries to be that much safer. You can see the Lich Bane being worked on as item number 2 for Ryu, very standard for Kassadin, actually makes him a threat when he jumps in, so he can have that insta-give potential, and the scaling machine continues to lurch forward for Phoenix1.
Yeah, Arrow's quite happy with the way that this game has been going. Starting out the lane so successfully on a Sivir, making you cruise through the early scaling here. Definitely puts the whole team kind of at ease, and that's why you're seeing this game is much more calm than the first one, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen as much focus on the mid-game playmaking, and no real big rush there, because they know they do have a better insurance policy this time around with the Kassadin, fully stacked out Rod into the Lich Bane very quickly, as you said. And there you go. Arrow does complete the first Zeal item, which is going to be the Rapid Fire for that first big chunk.
Well, he's 2/3 of the way there. Needs one more crit item to really come online with that Sivir. You're going to see MASH doing a build similar to what Arrow did last game on the Jhin, going for the lethality first into the straight crit scaling. Doesn't want to be that full lethality stack Jhin that falls off so hard in the late game, especially against tankier opponents, knowing that you've got that Rek'Sai and that Cho'Gath, and hell, even the Thresh on the enemy team that will become resistant to that as the game goes on. Froggen, also with Trinity Force and Static Shiv, means when he lands those auto attacks, they're going to have some stink to him. Package also up and running. Always got to keep your eye on that whenever Echo Fox has that one at their disposal. And it's used as a retreat thing.
I kept my eye on it. I saw it.
All right, we both saw it.
Right in the middle.
I shouldn't have said anything. We would have got to see a really cool package play if I didn't shut up. But instead, he uses it to retreat, as is the fate of many packages with Corkis, because the enemy team knows to play around them.
All right, we may be seeing the setup here. It is a 2-2-1 from Echo Fox. They still have Brandini's, creating that sideline pressure we talked about, but they actually also set Gate up with MASH in the top side to go ensure that this Kassadin's push is put to a stop, because Kassadin, can 1v1 people at this stage of the game, but if Gate is there on the Taric, at the very least you buy a tremendous amount of time, and it makes any sort of offensive real big push from the Kassadin side very difficult. Meanwhile, Brandini is also giving respect to the lack of vision that they have. Both teams have been able to defensively clear out a lot of the split push wards their enemies have been trying to get down to really set up the Kassadin and set up the Camille for creating that pressure.
And one fortunate thing for Brandini, definitely sort of Xpecial shielded there in the mid lane. Arrow keeping himself safe, but Brandini can build MR, and it's effective against either one of the targets that he'd be split pushing against. It'll help him survive against anything but the ulti from the Cho'Gath. It also helps him fight the Kassadin, so he's got a pretty easy itemization path this game if he wants to go with defensive options to make sure he can deal with this.
Yeah, you have to be super careful too. You don't want to go with very many defensive options, you know, early with Camille, since she wants to be in 1v1s and wants to be dueling and have that DPS for the dueling power. And she's going full on with this game plan. I really do think that is the way to go. With the Ravenous picked up, we'll see her go for, you take about, you know, 50 to, you know, 40 or 50% of a Cho'Gath's health going in, jumping for that trade. You get the stun, you get your, you know, reset on your Q, and then you heal back up your half of the trade off of the minion wave, rinse and repeat, and you really start to create that pressure.
And eventually you'll just wear him down. Even though Cho'Gath has his passive, when Camille's damage becomes so extreme from building those damage items that you mentioned, you can't heal that up based on Carnivore.
Yeah.
You can do it in lane, but not against 2 damage item Camille. P1 going for the Infernal Drake now.
Yeah, the problem with, you know, that sort of style there is that Phoenix1 can just group, the neutral objectives are in, you know, the middle of the map. This is group up territory for the 5-on-5. Echo Fox are actually starting up the Baron in answer to the Infernal Drake. This is going to have to be...
It's so slow, though.
Yeah, it seems very weird considering how powerful, you know, Phoenix1 you know, are in their current state that, you know, to even set that up, they don't really gain a lot back. And that is going to be a very nice Infernal Drake, you know, to buff up. We already talked about the scaling of Kassadin and Sivir. Now that they are going to have this extra multiplier, it's going to be a bit scary here for, you know, how Echo Fox can pull it off.
That much worse. We saw one Infernal Drake and what it could do for Sivir in game number 1. Add Kassadin into that mix, especially Kassadin that's a level and a half
they
away.
got eyes on Froggen.
Ooh, can Ryu actually get near him? Nope. Froggen not even going to stick around at all. 2 more levels until Ryu hits that point where he truly does have the ability to be all over the place, jump around time and time again in the team fight, really be a threat.
They're actually going for a collapse here. Pretty good feint, at least. They didn't bring Sivir, so it's not a full commitment. If they had actually called Arrow over for rotation, then, you know, maybe they rush that and try and get some summoners out. Regardless, though, it looks like they're saving them for that big mid-game fight.
And you know, I like the Talisman of Ascension pickup from Gate this game as well, to sort of give them an out if Arrow decides to run at them with the On the Hunt. They can pop that and just try to break that distance, get themselves away from it. So
that's a really good point, because you have to pick and choose your battles here with this comp from Echo Fox. You can't just go with that straight up, you know, face check. And having extra mobility on the kind of vulnerable duo lane is very important. You know, as you said, the Talisman, but also the Ghost Blade can give Mash and Gate a couple of ways to escape.
All right, package is up again. Time to use it defensively on a minion wave. See, this is what we do. We use reverse psychology, and now they're going to use it in a team fight. Just watch.
Captain Flowers trying to control the game.
Just give it a little influence, just a little nudge, that's all. Still got the package for the next little while, but that is going to be time limited, and the time is running out right now. Don't do this to me, Froggen.
Looks like Ryu's might force his hand. Kassadin moving around here through the Fog of War, trying to get a little bit of an angle.
Nope. Oh, we get to the retreat back into the jungle. No opportunity to go for the package there. The Frog picks up his blue buff for more poke.
All right, they still are going to just post up. Whoa.
Okay.
Post up Zig kind of in the defensive long lane here. I don't think he wants to extend much past his inhibitor turret, though, because, you know, Brandini would be very happy to jump in for those trades we talked about. Brandini right now is a little bit cautious as far as maybe, you know, a Kassadin either trailing the Cho'Gath or teleporting, but doesn't have too much to worry about. Just slips into the jungle, gets some warning for himself, steals away the blue buff, and his team goes for a half-hearted, you know, little feint there of an engagement in the mid lane.
And you know, Zig actually answered the Ravenous Hydra from Brandini, buying a Warmogs of his own on Cho'Gath, saying, okay, if you just want to take small trades in regen, we'll take small trades in regen. That's not a big deal.
There it is. There's that teleport.
Ryu wants to come in. 2 versus 1. This is not a fair fight, but fair fights are not the name of the game in League of Legends. Ryu, level 15, so doesn't have that final level ulti, but does not need it. 3-2, Phoenix1.
Two of the most mobile champions in league. Kassadin is able to get the benefit there, though. Brandini not able to get out after his flash and jump over the wall. Let's see if Phoenix1 can actually get something with this, though. They had to use the teleport, you know, to go get that pick, so they don't have it on.
And the flash.
And he does go back to base. Now they're setting up for the Baron. They can clear out the wards. They can set up for a little bit of a bait here, maybe. Zig still does have his teleport, so he can get that bottom lane pressure. They can try and start pulling Echo Fox across the map. Brandini has his teleport available, though.
Hook comes out, doesn't find its way onto Akaadian. Brandini dead for the next 12 seconds. Phoenix1 starting up the Baron. Daring Echo Fox to come stop them. TP channeled now by Zig so he can join the fight. Remember, Feast
there,
the Baron secure as well.
2 seconds on Brandini. He's going to be alive very shortly.
Echo Fox coming in there. Lantern will pull the Cho'Gath to safety as On the Hunt is used to disengage.
All right, so that's just the teleport of Zig. Burn there. Phoenix1 actually have top lane pressure as well as mid lane turret going down to deal with. There's a lot of minions on the top side, so they're going to give up that mid lane turret and some gold back over to Echo Fox.
Here's a quick replay of what happened in bottom lane to Brandini, who thought that he was safe going for this trade.
So we went over the plans. We went over where he's going to have to be a bit careful about Kassadin teleport. It does happen here. And Zig just wants to get in melee range to get all those slows down. He gets his silence down and keep him there long enough. Brandini tries to flash and jump over the wall, but since Ryu has his flash available as well, anything you can do, I can do better.
And now he can do it better, hitting level 16 with the Kassadin. So Riftwalk is down to a 1.2 second cooldown. That's a pretty low number.
Awesome. The Zhonya's is completed too. So that's where your team fighting comes in, right? So Kassadin early on, you're like, all right, I'm rushing my Lich Bane, my split push is gonna be great. I'm gonna have my burst damage. I'm good in, skirmishes, duels, chasing people down. But now with the Zhonya's, you even gain the flexibility of team fighting. And that's incredibly important here as we crest the 30-minute mark. Ryu can actually go for initiation. He can chunk out mash. Zhonya's in the middle of them. Buy time for the next Rift-Off to come back up. And it becomes super difficult at this point. That's why we kept cautioning over and over again about the Kassadin Sivir combo and how flexible and scary it is later in the game.
We have reached later on in the game now, past that 30-minute mark, like you said, as Echo Fox now stares down the barrel of that level 16 Kassadin. Still only 14 on the Sivir, but when your own AD carry is 13, 14's still pretty scary. 16 here on Froggen as well, so maximum damage coming out from those rockets as he completes Infinity Edge as his third major item, meaning Froggen is no slouch in the damage department once we get into these team fights either, especially if the front line can keep him protected.
I think this is going to rely a lot on can Gate and Akaadian work together to force a team fight while the Taric ultimate is on. Taric ultimate can be an entire team fight game changer. That immunity, the time that it can buy you is huge. And if the Gragas can actually set it up to force members of Phoenix1 to be in the team with the crowd control, then it is still a possibility, even with the overwhelming odds that they are facing in the late game with the composition that they're facing. It is definitely possible to outplay here. And you're definitely going to have to keep your eyes on those abilities.
Taric is such a roller coaster of a champion to watch in these games when it comes to his team fight presence, because he can either completely break the fight like you said, or if it's just slightly mistimed, a little too early, a little too late, it's just a tragedy for him and his team as the fight breaks out. Ryu comes over the wall, the stun, in retaliation to block up both Mike and Ryu and get Echo Fox out.
In the count of cooldowns, slight victory there for Echo Fox. Sivir ultimate down now. It's definitely not a big deal because, he's almost level 16 as well, and the cooldown getting quite short on that one. Echo Fox would like to take advantage of the very small opening, but you don't want to extend yourself or risk too much forcing anything off of just that single ultimate cooldown that's burned.
This game is 300 gold apart at 32 minutes, too, by the way. This couldn't be much of a closer contest between the two teams. Ryu again going for Brandini. Not quite able to make that one happen. He has his TP up. Zig does not. And Echo Fox seeing that, now going for the Baron. Again, there's such a slow Baron taking team, though. You've only got Jhin, who doesn't do it as fast as some other AD carries do. Brandini, once again, forcing the fight onto Zig, knowing the rest of his team had withdrawn Ryu over, but Ryu now again coming back towards the bottom lane.
Pretty well played by Brandini and the rest of EchoFox, by the way. That takes some good communication. For him to go aggressive on the Cho'Gath, immediately pull back off once they say, hey, Kassadin is rotating back over from mid lane. We have to stop Baron. So some pretty good push and pull, and the intricacies and team coordination of communication between your four-man squad and your split pusher is what makes and breaks these types of scenarios. That's why we always talk about the late game and how important it is to have veterans and people who have worked together, because oftentimes if you don't, then pulling off the coordination and the timings on when to go aggressive with your four-man squad and when to go aggressive with your split pusher can definitely be tricky.
And honestly, that's why I was excited to hear that EchoFox was running the same roster this week that they were last week, because it shows that they have faith in these guys working together as a unit. They're not taking 1 or 2 or even 3 guys out and replacing them. They're saying, let's continue to work with these 5. This roster's got something to it. Let's see what they can do. And it's allowing them to have more of that exposure with each other, have more of that experience together as 5, so that they know how to handle these situations properly. So they have that ability to work that situation right. Infernal Drake goes over the way of EchoFox.
All right, what's it going to be? Is Brandini's solo, split push pressure going to be able to make Phoenix1 expose their backs here to
Cloud Drake, excuse me. I think that's what that was.
Let's check the tapes.
Cloud Drake. Cloud Drake.
It looks like it. That one's on the board there.
Sometimes even the Drakes are tricky, but it was a Cloud Drake, so that's 2 clouds over to the side of EchoFox. Cloud Infernal for Phoenix1.
Goes in again for a little bit of a trade. With the Spirit Visage, the regeneration is even more insane. Nice lantern there from Xpecial to reposition arrows so they don't have to burn any larger cooldowns.
And I'm normally a big critic of Cloud Drakes. Like, I'm one of the people who memes on them talking about how they wish they were Infernal Drakes.
Aye.
But in situations like these, they can be pretty useful if you're trying to rotate back and forth between 2 lanes. Sivir ultimate popped here in the mid lane as Phoenix1 wants to engage on EchoFox, but again, they prevent it. Brandini still hanging out bottom side. Zig still hanging out down there as well. Neither one of these 2 wants to be the one to swerve first in the game of bot lane chicken. Froggen forced to flash. Nice summoner spell pop there from Phoenix1.
Oh, Froggen is known for playing the chicken and does burn his flash. He's the first one to flinch. Meanwhile, on top side, Brandini goes in for another trade. Again, instantly healed right off the minion wave, goes back in for another.
Right back in that Spirit Visage too, preventing so much of the damage coming out from Zig, allowing him to heal up even more with the Ravenous Hydra. Zig has just no way to deal with this guy. All he can do is sit around, try to regenerate enough to still be relevant, but Brandini has made his way onto the turret. Zig pops Stone Plate.
Active.
And question mark? Ping? Okay, but it scares him off, keeps the turret okay.
It scares him off.
Scares him off, baby. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, Kobe.
He's been playing League of Legends for like 5 years. He's like, oh no, Cho'Gath is big and shiny.
That Cho'Gath's too big, run away. You don't normally see champions that get that big. It's
I'll give you a lot of leeway, but you're not tricking me with that one, buddy.
All right.
Maybe the noise is a little jumpy, like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah, it's a jump scare. Jump scare Cho'Gath.
I think that honestly the only thing that Brandini does have to be afraid of is, again, the thing we talked about earlier, where either a Kassadin is trailing your split pusher, Zig, and just comes down lane, or he teleports in which case you are getting a cooldown at least for the troubles, and then it's every man for himself.
Yeah.
You scramble, trying to evasive maneuvers, buy time for your team.
BF sword built onto Brandini, now evolved into a Guardian Angel, so even more of that hybrid defense-offense capability for him, as well as just getting some basic resistance to physical attacks. The P1 decides it's time to start up Baron, and this team is not going to be slow on the trigger pull. TP being channeled by EchoFox. They want to stop this. A lot of the curtain calls only finding their way into the tank line. Baron down very low. Smite comes out, secured by the Feast. But now Phoenix1 is in some serious trouble, Kobe. Ryu is pulled right back into the Hextech ultimatum. Brandini goes up the wall, but Ryu somehow escaping, only to die in a double kill to Froggen.
Ooh, 2 members for Baron. Those are always really interesting trades because it means you lose your map control, you're going to lose the turret for your Baron, and this late in the game, 46-second cooldown on the Kassadin here. EchoFox might even get more.
EchoFox, they're not stopping it at tier 2.
Baron buff does help you defend a little bit by speeding up these minions and helping them get into place, but you have to be so scared of a dive, Big Chunk on the arrow.
Arrow trying to get back, sidesteps the deadly flourish. MikeYeung also eating a lot from these auto attacks and rocket combos from Froggen. Echo Fox pushes up, they take the mid lane inhib, and they are not
20
stopping.
seconds.
20 seconds on Ryu, 5 versus 4. Echo Fox looking at the Nexus turrets themselves. Silence out onto the front line, and they will disengage with the talisman that we mentioned earlier.
They can actually teleport Ryu back out on the field to keep the chase alive.
Big hook, here we go. Taric ultimate comes in, Phoenix1 trying to make their stand, but instead they're gonna be losing their support. Into the back line goes Brandini, Arrow gonna be cut to pieces, and Phoenix1 may just lose here. Exhaust down onto Ryu, gets himself away. Brandini, Guardian Angel popped, but MikeYeung will buy the time against 4 members of Echo Fox, only to die himself. Brandini wants to finish Ryu, and an uppercut kick seals this series, and Echo Fox wins 2-0.
Too early on the re-engage for Phoenix1, and they lose everybody for it. Zig now getting locked up, and he's going down.
Bring down that monster Cho'Gath, bring down Phoenix1, and Echo Fox makes their statement 38 minutes in to take this series down.
What a finish there from Echo Fox. There were 4 seconds left on Ryu. Phoenix1 had him on the run, but then they get a little bit baited in by their own hook landing. They go for the engage. The ultimate from Taric comes down, and that's what we talked about. It was a 5 versus 4 with immunity from the Taric ultimate. Echo Fox just sweep the entire game off their feet.
Just snap of the fingers. Everything was so close. The gold was less than 1,000 apart between the teams. And a Baron call from Phoenix1 that Echo Fox calls their bluff ends the game within the next couple of minutes. No deaths for either bot laner from Echo Fox that game. Mash and Gate, 8 out of 9 kill participation each. No deaths each.
They didn't die, but they gave up tons of CS. So remember, remember that.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the 279 to 408 farm. Worry about the fact that it was the enemy Nexus that blew up and not theirs.
Yeah. It wasn't even the end game because, you know, end game CS has a lot to do with lane allocations. And yeah, Sivir, they're trying to put him in there to get a bunch of farm, but it was like 80 to 40 or something. It was close to that.
It was really bad.
Early on in the game. Regardless, that was a long time ago. So much of this game came down to that split-second late game decision-making, right? The Baron burn was good. They were able to burn it down, but the escape plan was not there. And a huge, props to Echo Fox for chasing them down. They were very patient. They waited until Phoenix1 were the ones to actually force the hand, trap themselves inside the Baron pit, pick off those 2 kills, and they get the inhibitor, and that should have been the end of the trade. But as Phoenix1 are chasing them off with only a few more seconds left on this Kassadin death timer, and a teleport on him available too. They could have let him run out into the field, teleported down there into the middle of the lane, and re-engage later with 5 members. Right. They jumped the gun a little bit there, and things like that are what's going to cost you these games in the late game like that.
And speaking of jumps, in the last couple of fights, both the one in the Baron pit and the one in the enemy base, Brandini, 2 awesome jumps into the Hextech ultimatum on the value carries for Phoenix1 in the Baron pit onto Ryu, in the base onto Arrow, making sure those guys could not escape. Such a big performance from this guy again.
Yeah, definitely true. I mean, we talk about the subs for this team, and everybody's like, well, how are they coming up with who's in on this, on this given day? And yeah, it does have to do with the team, synergy, but also how are they actually just performing in the recent scrims?
And Brandini, he performed really well, but for more on the Echo Fox win, we're going to check in with D-Gon and the victorious support.
Thank you very much. I am joined here by Gate. Now, Gate, you guys were losing until you won. Talk to me about that series.
I feel like Phoenix1 played very well. We definitely had some blunders that led to us being behind in the early game. Like in the second game, Mash just took a Raptor, and we're like, oh God, we got to get more leash on the red. And then that caused us to miss Crease in bot 2. It's definitely just our fault, that one. But I feel like in the early game, Phoenix1 were a tough opponent.
So tell me, you guys did fall behind early in both games, but what did you guys specifically do to get yourselves back in the game?
I think it's mostly just all 5 of us. We agree on a plan that we're okay with, and we don't try to go more than that, and we'll slowly climb back in the way. This happened both of the games, so it's just something we're getting more used to. I think in the past, we've kind of been playing more recklessly when we fall behind, like we'll lose quickly, but we realize this is not like the best way to go about it, so we've been like reeling ourselves back more.
So you got to talk about U5, and it's been pretty well known that you guys have been using a lot of substitutes and switching players around. You haven't moved around too much yourself, but what is your outlook on the substitution role that Echo Fox plays?
I think there's a lot of value in subbing in and out players. Obvious one is if someone has like a bad game or they think they bring something to the table that'll be really effective against certain teams. We kind of highly value that, and I would say that's one of our main reasons for substitution.
So you talked about what you valued with the substitutions as the season is starting to come to a close. What are some of the things that you're working on specifically to get better as a player?
I think for me, I have to play better. my own play is something I'm more concerned about. In the past, I think I didn't realize just like I have to play well individually, and I was really focused on like the whole teamwork aspect of the game. But I have a lot of faith in my teammates this season, and I mean we're just trying to close strong.
All right, well, you definitely close this series out. Congratulations again, Gate. For more on this series, let's send it over to Dash and the Mark Z.
Thank you. The D
got my
guy.
article right.
Yeah, you got your article right. Gate saying they're trying to close the rest of the season out strong, and a 2-0 victory here over Phoenix1 is a good start to these last 2 weeks.
It's definitely an improvement, just given the fact that they came from behind. This is a team that we were often criticizing just for never having mid control and giving up objectives, and you even heard Gate say himself losing quickly when they fall behind.
Right.
So here it's nice to see them kind of hold on throughout these games and then pick their battles at the right spot.
Exactly. Heads up play by Echo Fox here at the end of the game to call on the Baron. Now Phoenix1 does secure it. The fight ensues though. They get enough members down in order to make a successful push.
And to be fair to Phoenix1, this wasn't a situation where you think you lose the game off that Baron force.
Right, you only lost 2 people.
Yeah, so you say, all right, we'll take our lumps, we'll back out, we'll grab the Baron and reset, we lose this mid inhibitor, but now we have Baron to push with. But the problem is they don't take it slow enough, and you see this re-engage here, and they take this 5v4 as Kassadin is just coming up. But by the time he spawned, you already see Brandini is on the back line blowing up arrows. So now you lost this other carry just as Ryu spawns, and it's still essentially in some ways a 4v5. So he instantly gets focused down as well. And it just is this kind of thing where you did not play patiently enough on the side of Phoenix1. Getting the Baron was a decent call, but you re-engaged as the enemy team was still in your base. And if you lose a fight there, the game's gonna end.
Very much so. Death timer's far too long to be recovered from. But I think what you hit is kind of key, right? The idea that that Baron call in and of itself from Phoenix1, not a bad Baron call. Kobe also mentioned it's just that the escape plan wasn't necessarily there to get everyone out alive. All right, even after you lose 2 members, this game should not still be lost. It was the over-aggressive play in the 4v5 that ends the game, and that's where I would have asked for Phoenix1 to show a little bit more poise, say, hey, we still have 3 Baron buffs on our team. Yes, an inhib is down, but if we reset, put the Cho'Gath in the side lane against a TP-less Camille now, we can actually reestablish pressure using the Baron buff against the super minions.
That's the thing, though, when you look at this comp, is that the Cho'Gath had actually been doing fine the entire game against the Camille. A couple times the skirmishes got a little dicey. They brought the Kassadin down, and they kept trying to make repeated attempts on him once they found a kill. Sometimes Brandini got out alive, but they were not under a ton of pressure, and it was starting to get to the point where Camille is threatening these turrets, and I can understand the Baron force, but like you said, once you force that Baron, your 5v5 team comp is very strong. Your split push should be fine, because you were not getting bowled over in that matchup.
Right, that brings us back to Champions Select, though, where we can kind of recognize that where last game we had early on the side of Phoenix1 versus late game on the side of Echo Fox, both of these teams scale in a healthy manner. So it does put that much more focus on the execution and doing things correctly in the late game.
That one big thing that they do have in their advantage for Echo Fox is the Taric pick. This is something that's been being seen a lot more recently, and it's a champion that in its late game team fights, you can just negate so much pressure from the enemy team, especially because neither of these teams really have great tanks. I think Phoenix1 is really the only one with one of those super tanks right now in the Cho'Gath, and he might not be in the fight depending on how it's breaking out with the Camille in the side lane.
Exactly. Taric, I mean, if used properly, has the potential, right, to negate all of the damage. If all of the spells come through at the same time, it can really hinder your ability, especially when you're looking at someone like Sivir, right, who's trying to do multi-threat damage. He's going to hit multiple people at a time. Taric negates all of that. Player of the game, though, picked up by Brandini this time around, so showing up big for Echo Fox here on a Friday night. 2 player of the games in a row on this Camille, establishing that pressure.
He's one of the later subs to really get playing time as well. For a while, Looper was the guy in the top lane. You saw more switches between Grig and Demonte and all these other people, and he's stepped up now. He's got a player of the game. and in a style that is not something you would have thought of the sub coming in. He had a great game on Shen and was able to get some kills onto Zig, and then this time around on the Camille, just keep pushing in over and over.
All right, so again, Echo Fox picking up a win here. This is going to do wonders for them in terms of that three-way tie for 7th place right now, trying to create that match separation from the rest so we can stay out of those 9th and 10th spots. For Phoenix1, though, this is one of those games that they could have won, one of those matches that they should have or could have looked at as a possible victory to pull themselves out of 10th. It doesn't come. What's the prospects for these teams as they move Ryu back into the lineup?
I mean, for a while, it did look like Ryu was having a great performance in this series. In Game 1, he was kind of going off a little bit, and then here in Game 2, you see just a huge, he had decent damage numbers and was very important in terms of trying to shut down the
Camille on the side lanes.
Yeah, the Camille split pushing. So I think he had a decent performance, but it's just to this point now where it feels like this team has very little trust in each other. You don't see MikeYeung going for nearly the level of aggressive invades that we were used to seeing him when he was getting this Nidalee pick and the team felt kind of revitalized.
Right.
It felt like they peaked, the confidence dropped, and with that, the team play.
We were kind of hypothesizing coming into the day, and even MikeYeung himself had made it known that perhaps Phoenix1 overcorrected in the meta for his style of play, moving so much towards tanks when he'd prefer to play, a more aggressive style jungler. But in Game 1, you leave the Zac up, gotta take it. All right, but he's playing a tank. And here, Rek'Sai, yes, can have the potential to go off if you start picking up kills in the early game. That doesn't happen, and he gets out-damaged by the Gragas on the other side.
Yeah, that's the thing, is Xpecial was trying to make plays, had the early roam to the top side that he and MikeYeung coordinated. Same thing with that bot gank they went for, and they were able to get a lot of pressure off it, and they take the first couple outer turrets, but they just never felt like they could know what to do after that, and they completely stalled out in this game. It was a very slow game, as you can see.
A big 2-0 for Echo Fox to start off Week 8. We got another series coming your way, rather, when we return. Team Liquid aim to upset our first-place team, Immortals. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the North American LCS.